Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Lolex. In today's lesson, we'll be taking a look at the present perfect continuous tense. The present perfect continuous tense, also called the present perfect progressive tense, is a verb form that we use to describe an action that started in the past and either recently finished or is still continuing. The present perfect continuous is a little tricky. We use this tense in a number of different situations, and it can have different meanings in those different situations. We can look at the three common ways that the present perfect continuous is used: to describe new routines, to describe recently completed actions, and for actions that are still continuing. In general, we use the simple present to talk about routines and habits. If I go jogging every day or a couple of times a week, I can simply say I jog, right? But what if this is a new habit? Maybe I have gone jogging every day for the past 2 weeks. So it is a routine, but it might feel funny to just say I jog or I am a jogger. In situations like this, where we want to demonstrate that a habit or routine is somewhat new, the present perfect continuous is the form that we want to use. So we say, I have been jogging. Here are a few more examples. This has been a difficult month. She has been working long hours. I've been going to the gym lately. We've been cooking at home more recently. Recently completed actions. We also use the present perfect continuous to talk about actions that have just recently ended, especially when there is still evidence of that action. For example, after you paint, you may still have paint on your hands. To explain this, you would use the present perfect continuous. Sorry, my hands are dirty. I've just been painting. Take a look at these other examples. The house is a mess because we've just been redecorating. Sorry, I'm all sweaty. I've been exercising. Why are you two crying? Have you been fighting? Notice that in each of these examples, there is sensory evidence. That is, the mess, sweating, crying, of the recently completed actions, which are painting, exercising, and fighting. This is almost always the case when using the present perfect continuous in this way. Actions still happening. This is probably the most common way that this verb form is used. This is very important. When we see the present perfect continuous with for or since, the action started at a specific time in the past and is still happening. Here are some examples. Michelle has been living in Boston since June. Joanna's been writing her thesis for 6 months. In the first example, Michelle still lives in Boston. In the second example, Joanna is still writing her thesis. Again, when you see for or since with this verb tense, the action or situation described by the main verb is still continuing. Here are some more examples with for and since. Kara's been working at FedEx for 3 years now. I've been thinking about changing jobs for a long time. We've been developing a new strategic plan since late last year. You have been traveling back and forth to California since you got married, right? Forming the present perfect continuous. Forming the present perfect continuous isn't difficult. You will always use the same formula. Have or has plus been plus the ing form of the verb. You could also think of it as simple steps. First, choose either have if the subject is plural or the pronouns I, you, we, or they, or has if the subject is a singular form, that is he, she, or it. Then use been, then use your main verb with ing. Here is the verb work conjugated into the present perfect continuous. First person singular, I have been working. First person plural, we have been working. Second person singular, you have been working. Second person plural, you have been working. Third person singular, he has been working. She has been working. It has been working. Third person plural, they have been working. Notice that we can see both the perfect and the continuous aspect in this form. Have been is the perfect aspect. Been with the ing verb is the continuous aspect. Other forms of the present perfect continuous. Negative sentences. You always have two helping verbs in the present perfect continuous, have or has, and been. To make it negative, simply put not in between them. She has not been living here for a long time. I have not been reading much recently. They have not been working late. Because the present perfect continuous uses so many words, we often use contractions with not to make it a little shorter. She hasn't been living here for a long time. I haven't been reading much recently. Questions. To make a question, simply put has or have before the subject. Has she been living here for a long time? Have you been working out lately? You look great. What have you been reading? When have you been going to bed lately? Passive voice. Making passive sentences with more complex verb forms, like the present perfect continuous, is extremely uncommon and almost always awkward in English. We really recommend that you rephrase a sentence to avoid creating such an awkward sentence. Take a look at this example. We have been being observed a lot at work. Do you see the awkwardness in the sentence above? If you really need to make a passive sentence in this verb form, we often use the get passive to avoid the unnatural combination of been, being. Put get in the present perfect continuous, that is, has been getting or have been getting, and then the perfect form of the main verb. So we have been getting observed a lot at work lately. I've been getting kicked off the internet every 5 minutes. Signal words. When we are talking about new routines and habits, it's common to use the words recently or lately, which both have the same meaning in this sense. There is some flexibility in where we can put these words in a sentence, but the beginning or end of the clause is a safe bet. Take a look at these examples. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about Aunt Maud. We've been having second thoughts about moving recently. We can use the adverb just to emphasize that an action was completed in the immediate past, right before now. Because the present perfect continuous can talk about actions that stopped right before now, it is common to use just with it. Have a look at these examples. Don't mind these ridiculous old clothes. I've just been gardening. Hey, Paul, I can't believe you're here. We've just been talking about you. We already said the most important signal words with the present perfect continuous are for and since. They are important because they change the meaning. Whenever you see for and since with this verb form, you know the action is still true. When we use for, we specify the duration of the action. This could be the number of minutes or weeks or years. It could also be a more general phrase like a really long time or a little while. People have been living on this island for thousands of years. It's been raining for hours. I've been studying English for half my life. While for is used with a duration, since is used to specify the point in time when the action began. That could be a time or date. It can also be another event described with a clause, like since I was a child. People have been living on this land since about 800 BC. It's been raining since noon. I've been studying English since I was a child. That concludes today's lesson. If you have any questions or doubts, please leave a comment. Thank you.